We're here to discuss the department's new Challenger forcible entry door. This door provides us the opportunity to do our conventional forcible entry as well as some other options in through the lock and saw usage. So what we're going to do is do a quick walk around of the door, talk about some of its features, and then we're going to go through the process of using those features today. So as we see our door, similar to our blue door where it's not a full-length door, and then we see our forcible entry side or hinge side, and with that we're going to kind of see some variations from the other doors. But one of the big things we're looking for is kind of where we're going to work. So whenever we're using some of our hand tools in our conventional forcible entry, we're going to see these yellow areas, and those are, as we see it labeled here, our pry zone, or our area we're going to use our forcible entry tools. Also here in the center, we have a 16 by 18 inch metal plate held in with some wing bolts here. This is designed to use for forcible entry, where we're going to talk about our commercial doors with panic hardware on the inside. An option for that is to take our K12 and make a vertical cut here, reach in with something like a framing square, and grab that panic hardware bar on the inside. Over here on our pry zone, we also see some locks. These are designed for a through the lock process. This top one simulates a rim lock or a mortise style lock. We can use our K tool or our Rex tools to remove those off of the door. And then down here on this bottom end, we have a deadbolt, so we can talk about removing deadbolts from our doorways. It's also a good indicator for our size up of where our locks are when we're sizing up our door and where we want to put our tools. Here on the yellow piece and on the frame, we see our wood holder where we're going to put our wooden locks through on the door. We can see that slides through, and on here, instead of using wedges like the other door, we actually have a tension T-bolt where you can put tension on that to hold it in place to provide some a more secure door. On the end here, we see some through the lock options. This is to go with our prop here. Once we pull our locks, this gives us the ability to manipulate some of the locks on the interior. This is where we'll use our key tool or a screwdriver to manipulate those locks. You also see down here on the side, we've got wheels on the lower end, and this set of wheel pops up, flips down, and allows you to tilt this and roll this and move it around fairly easily. As it comes to this side of the door, again, we see that yellow pry zone or work area. This is going to allow us, again, kind of where we're going to put our tools for our forcible entry. With this full setup, there's a couple other options. If we compare this to the other side, these bolts and these pieces of wood match up with our through the lock props on the other side. So they don't have to be in place when we're doing conventional forcible entry, but for our through the lock, they need to be in place. Again, matching up with the plate on the other side where we make that vertical cut, we have a panic hardware option here where, again, this is going to allow us to manipulate that door and open it up from that through the lock or that forcible entry aspect. You see we've got a lock ring here. This allows us to put padlocks. We can use this for cutting or for manipulating with our Halligan by forcing the lock off of here, setting our forks or a pike in there and pulling that lock off. On this end we have 3 sections of rebar. This allows us to do different positions of our cutting. We've got vertical cutting, horizontal cutting, and then lower vertical cutting. We'll also see here in the middle we have a hinge prop. There's 2 options for this. We can use just our Halligan or our forcible entry tool and talk about pulling these hinges off. There will also have a piece of flat stock available that you can put through, and you can cut that with a saw. With conventional forcible entry, we have 2 options. We can use our wood locks where we slide in and then tension with our T-handle here, and that provides a secure lock on the door. A second option is to use our panic hardware latch, where we have this handled knob here. Lift this safety latch, lift our knob handle up, and what it'll do is it'll pop a spring latch out and provide a secondary locking mechanism where we don't have to have the piece of wood. We're just gonna do conventional forcible entry. Our inward swinging door, similar to any of our other door props. Here we can see, again, we have that pry zone area we're going to work in. Inward swinging door, we can start with our adze. All we're having holding this door right now is the piece of wood. So just like our regular conventional forcible entry doors, we can set our tool in and then we can start forcing. Newer doors provide that ability to have a tight door, so we can use some of our gapping techniques with our foot, tool starting a little lower if possible, creating a little bit of space. Tight door, tight door. Strike, 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 drive. Stop. All right, so we use our K-tool to pull our rim lock, like if this was a storefront door. Take our K-tool, set it over the lock, set it in place. So once you pull the cylinder off the door, we come over to the manipulation prop side here, use our key tool. We're going to press the lock down, rotate it to the side, and get our latch to open. So with our through the lock, when we remove deadbolts, this is a manipulation option for us where we can see the interior latch of that deadbolt. We just take something like our key tool, find that mechanism, and then we're just going to turn it to the side. It's like we're unlocking the door and pull that latch in. So we have our rim lock up here and our deadbolt below it. We use our K-tool for the rim lock, but it is not large enough for our deadbolts. So with our deadbolts, we have an option of using our Halligan and axe, setting our adze on the top rim of the deadbolt, and then driving it down. Hit, 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 hit. Pull our deadbolt off, and then we'll manipulate the latch. So outward swinging doors present us with the option of a hinge. So maybe a heavily fortified door, we can try pulling or removing hinges. So this prop gives us the ability with our hinge here to practice this. We'll take the forks of the Halligan, set it over the top of the hinge. If we need to, we can drive it down with the Halligan to set it in place, and then we're just going to pry outward to try to pull the screws or the bolts out of the door to get that hinge to come off. And that hinge removes, and then we can force the door from the opposite direction. For our hinge prop, we have the option of pulling our hinges. It also gives us the ability to practice cutting, but we don't want to cut our hinges themselves. So with the door, we'll have flat plate of steel. You can slide in place just like the hinge. Once it gets in position, we'll use our wrench or socket, tighten this up, and lock this down. We want to put about an inch or so exposed so that we can get the most cuts out of each plate of steel. So we have the option of our high, medium, and low cuts, horizontal and vertical. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our saw, get in a good solid position, and we're going to start making our cuts. So our vertical cuts here, kind of put the saw into it, bring it up to RPM, and let kind of just the weight of the saw run through the material. In our low position, we're going to get a good stance, hold the saw close to our body, and again, let the weight of that saw cut through that as we're running. For our horizontal cuts, the only thing we want to be sure of is that when we're cutting, we're within this yellow protection area. That saves us from cutting into our frame and lets us just cut the material. Again, we're just going to kind of hold the saw close to our body, put a little bit of tension on the blade as it's running, and let it just feed its way through the material. Hinge prop here allows us to practice cutting hinges. Again, hold the saw close to our body, bring the RPM up, and let it just feed into the material there. Again, we want to make sure we're staying within the yellow cut space so that we don't damage the main door prop. Our panic hardware cut with our metal plate in the center of the door. We're going to take our saw, again, close to our body, just let the weight of the saw kind of eat through the material, and all we're trying to do is cut a thin strip through here. So what we'll do is we'll take our framing square, the slot we cut with the K12, we're going to reach through, we're going to grab the panic hardware, and we're going to pull back towards the door. What that'll do is that'll unlock the door and allow the door to open up for us. We have our lock ring here. This allows us to put padlocks or padlock simulators on to practice pulling locks or striking locks off with our Halligan. So what we do is the lock locks into that eye ring there. We come in with our Halligan. One of our options is taking the pike of the Halligan. What we're going to do is drive down with the axe, and it's just going to wedge that lock off of the keeper. Resetting our through the lock props here, we have our rim lock simulator. What we'll do is once it's pulled, we'll remove it from the door, take the bolt out of the back of the rim lock. We're going to take our OSB washer, set our bolt through that, put our lock in the opening on the other side, and then feed our bolt in to that locking mechanism, and then screw this on, take our ratchet, and snug it up. So for our, just like our rim lock, for our deadbolt, same idea. We'll remove it from the door, take the bolt out of the back of the deadbolt, place it through our OSB washer. We're going to put our deadbolt in the door opening, our bolt from the other side, and we're just going to screw this in and then snug it down with the ratchet. In order to prepare this for moving, we're going to flip out the wings back in. Come to our third wheel here, pull our release latch, flip it up until the latch locks back in. With two people, we can grab our handle, lower this down, and now we can move this around. If you find that it's a little unlevel, we have these T-handles on both sides here that you can screw up or down to provide a little bit of restabilization to set this door up flat and flush to the ground.